This conference will now be recorded.
Pardon?
It always starts late.
Yeah,
You're good, Betty.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I had a theft during cleanup week. I had a brand new weed eater that was stolen out of my garage. And I did report it to the city police because I wondered if there was anybody else, that was having anything stolen from their garage. At that time they hadn't, but it's something maybe you'd like to know.
Sure.
There might be somebody around doing that.
Yeah, seems like there always is somebody. So, unless anybody's got anything else, compliments, I'll take those.
Doing a good job.
Thanks, Mayor.
Very well.
All right,
Very well.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item 5, department head discussion. Do you have anything pertaining to that?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do this during this time. I received some calls and text messages on Saturday on an individual with a petition out at our recycling center. And we stopping people and asking them to sign. Obviously, the ones that called me weren't very happy. They've already voted on it. We had a couple individuals that got kind of nasty. And then he wanted to explain what it was about. It wasn't a vote. They didn't have time. I just feel like a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, people are going to our recycling center. They're going there to take care of business and in and out is what I would think. And I question is a county petition on county property soliciting. I'm not sure if that's legal. It may be neither here nor there, but I think there's a better place for it. And I'm nervous of one way in, one way out, that he kind of gets them captured in there. And so I don't know if anybody else got any calls, but I'm not real sure if that's something we should let happen or not. So
I got some same calls from a guy, and he said this same individual was harassing some lady from up by Stacyville, said she didn't live in the county and she has no right to dump her stuff out to the landfill out there, but she is in the county. And then another individual called me that he was harassing him and he asked him not to put stuff on Facebook anymore about him and stay positive. And this individual told the guy that was doing the guy that did the petition told him to fuck off. Do we need that out to the landfill? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. I guess if somebody's there harassing people, maybe the deputies can go out and ask them to leave. I don't know.
We need to be made aware of it at the time that it's happening.
Yeah.
Not a week
Not-
later or
right.
10 days later. But absolutely, somebody has a complaint, they need to call right away.
Well, maybe if it happens again, Todd, or just,
yeah, and a couple of them were, gals that were, I felt like they were kind of being harassed that, if gals going out, not that they can't go to their landfill, but, they were just kind of there to do their business and move on. So, I don't, just thoughts from you guys, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Aaron, if you have any.
I'm aware of the situation. I've done some research on it. I've also checked with my Stanford person I checked with on a lot of things, haven't heard from me yet. We've got 3 different issues here, basically, as I see it, maybe more, but just that's what I want to answer. Basically, to 3 questions. This is very broad. I mean this in a general sense. I'm not talking about this specific situation. Any situation like this, you got 3 issues. Number 1, you've got the issue of whether a private citizen can, and I'm going to use this in a general sense rather than a legal sense, whether they can use public property for a political purpose, all right? That's one issue. In other words, can somebody, you want to know whether the county can get in trouble for letting somebody use the property for that purpose? That's one question. Next question is, separate question is, even if you know, regardless of the answer to that question, can the county kick somebody off? If the county doesn't want to allow that. That's different. Next question is, and just like the sheriff said, you know, no matter what, and I'm not talking about this specific situation, it could be somebody out on the sidewalk, the courthouse, parking lot, or whatever. Nobody's exempt from any kind of criminal law or criminal liability, right? So, and I'm not saying any of that happened here, but regardless of what the other two questions are, or the answers to those other two questions are, a person, you know, cannot, if I'm walking out in the parking lot, I probably can't, there's a limit to interactions any of us can have with people, right? I mean, free speech is important and all that, but you can't cross the line into harassment, for example, or things like that. So the other question is whether or not there's ever any kind of a crime committed. I'm not intimating whatsoever in this situation was. I'm talking in a general sense. Those are the questions you always ask in these situations. So I've got 3 questions I've looked at. I've got some thoughts on all 3, but I'd like a little confirmation from somebody else before I share.
I looked up in the ethics part for this, and that's Iowa Code 721, and it says a number of different things. One is that permitting a person to use public property for the following purposes: polling votes, these are prohibited. Polling voters for preferences for candidates for ballot measures, soliciting funds, urging voter support for candidate or a ballot measure. It says in there that's prohibited. Another thing, Iowa Code 721.2, paragraph 5 says prohibits the use of public property for private purposes. So to me, I'm not the lawyer, but if he's using a public facility to push a ballot measure, it's illegal and he needs to stop. He needs to stop whatever it takes for us to make him to stop doing it. That's my view of it.
Well, let me get the
Good.
kind of
Agreed.
confirmation I'm looking for.
Agreed. Yeah, I just
Because
want
it's interesting, you know, you have, you know, when it comes to anything legal, and I recognize the frustration because yes, it's just like, you know, you have the same position, the same question in front of 2 different judges, for example, and get 2 different answers. And that can be frustrating. And just like this, you know, I have a conversation with, you know, Mark Locke, you know, former county attorney. We banter around issues. I talk to other county attorneys, other people in the Attorney General's office, and you always get this wide array of opinions. Ultimately, I guess what I try to do as county attorney is use my own mind, you know, because I got some experience too, and say, what do I think the right answer is? And then you also look to those other people that have a lot of expertise in these areas, and you say, you know what? This seems to be kind of their consensus. This is what we're going to go with. So that's what I'm trying to narrow down. Okay. And you know, and that's one of the things that's on my list. So hopefully sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
And I wasn't, you know, if it's sitting there when they come in and just like you'd put a petition around different areas, but to have somebody manning it and kind of, you know, making everybody aware of it, that I didn't care for that. So we'll just move on and see if we can get that taken care of.
Good. Any other comments on this? The information Jim had sounds like it shouldn't even be there anyway. It's probably shouldn't be there at all, so. Okay. Well, moving on then to item 6, county engineer update.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Couple updates. The Balsam Bridge, the contract was supposed to be yesterday to core out, put modified sub base in for the bridge approaches, but they are not in yet. The weather isn't helping them. So I think they're still going to try to get in this week, do the core out and get some rock down. I don't know that they'll make any paving decisions this week. So it might be next week. And then after that, the dirt contract will come back in and get some of the dirt finished up. And then we still got to wait for guardrail and paint, get that done. The Hickory Avenue in Totterville, think they're gonna try to pave this week, but I don't know if they're gonna make that schedule. They might pave early next week on the north end of the tracks. So that's the update there.
I'm getting a lot of comments on dust control for the weed work.
We've got it
You got it
scheduled. Yeah.
scheduled, okay. Well,
The rain helps today. So
yeah, right.
the rain the rest of the week would
I
probably.
got
help.
school bus backing out, so dusty almost back to
Yeah.
the truck. Couldn't see
Yeah.
because of all the trucks and dust. So it's kind of safety.
So then we got the rock run quotes out, and we've got the painting quotes out. They will be out today. So. And then I've tentatively scheduled Worth County, and I talked yesterday about 10:30 on the 31st. Ivy and Carpenter. If that works for you guys.
Yep, yeah.
Regarding Totterville, I believe there's a graduation reception and a funeral at the church this weekend. Can they call your office to know definitely which way they can come in?
Yeah, I think they'll be coming in from the south. I don't think they've got anything tore up south of there yet. And I know that there's concerns about Memorial Day weekend too, so
They had that question, they didn't know how to direct people, and so.
yeah, as far as I know, until the north side's paved, the south side won't be tore up.
Okay.
They can call. Any other questions?
That's,
All right.
Anything else? Anybody else?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Just have to skip over
7 and 8.
7 and 8, go to item 9, discussion and possible action on industry tip rebate. So,
Sherry, are you available?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. I apologize that I cannot be there in person today. We had a last minute family emergency. So I am very thankful for technology today because it is absolutely not possible for me to be there. However, this does not show in any way that I do not think that this is important. If I could be there today, I would. So today, I'm just going to let me know if at any point you cannot hear me. I'll try and be as loud as I possibly can. So I'm here today on behalf of Mitchell County Economic Development and Valent Biosciences to discuss an expansion that could greatly help Mitchell County in the long run with our property taxes. This room clearly has a bunch of people there today who see the value that Valent brings to our local economy. Valent is a company that has put down roots in Osage and Mitchell County and continues to give back to this community and county. VBC employs over 100 people and works in connection with A to Z Drying, which employs roughly 140 people in our county. VBC pays annual property taxes that equal $232,000 a year. Some ways VBC gives back include they've donated 50 trees to the city of Osage. They pay $1,000 a month to the CRC for employee memberships. They have roughly 30 children of employees attending the Osage Community School District. Currently, there are another 17 that are younger than school age who will attend in the next few years. Each of those children equal about roughly $7,000 to our district. They have STEM-based jobs coming to our area. As we know, that's a huge focus right now. We are able to bring in chemical engineers, biologists, entomologists, etc., right here to Mitchell County. The list goes on and on. Today, VBC is ready to add an expansion to continue their global product manufacturing. This expansion will have a taxable value of $3.6 million and include up to 10 new jobs. That's 10 potential new families moving to our county. If each new worker even has one child, that's 10 new children to our districts where they receive roughly $7,000 a child. The state of Iowa sees the impact and importance that Valent brings to the economy and is ready to invest over $1.1 million in grants to keep VBC here in Iowa. This will only happen if the county has some sort of financial contribution. Today, VBC is asking for an 80% TIF rebate for 10 years on the expansion only. This contribution by the county would ensure the state provides grants totaling $1.1 million. The cost to the county would be a rebate of roughly $65,000 while still collecting roughly $16,000 in additional taxes, not including what they're already paying on the plant. This is on top of the property taxes already being paid by the plant, equaling over $100,000 annually. The long-term taxes collected from this industry are what will help keep Mitchell County moving forward. The decision made today will have a major effect on industry all across Mitchell County. I encourage you to vote yes today to keep VBC here and stimulating our local economy. A yes vote will ensure Valent receives state assistance, all the while keeping global eyes on Mitchell County, Iowa. And I am available for questions.
So the state, whatever grant is tied in with counties?
Correct. So in order to receive any sort of state funding, there always has to be a local buy-in, I guess is how the state would like to see it. They would like to see that local government has some sort of skin in the game, as they like to say. So in order for Valent to be able to receive any sort of grants, they have to have some sort of local contribution. The city of Osage is very on board with offering something, but they cannot at this time because Valent is located in an urban renewal district, which means the county is the only one that receives TIF from Valent.
Sherry, you said that $55,000 per year is what they would be abated, and what was the amount that they would still pay?
So they would be, so currently based on the taxable valuation, it's going to be about $81,000 in property taxes on this addition only. So with an 80% rebate, you're looking at $64,800, I believe, if my math is correct. So then what they would still be paying in would be roughly, oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
You said 64?
64,800 would be the rebate.
Okay. And
So then the
amount?
county would still receive 20, sorry, darn technology. The county would still receive 20% then, and that would be roughly $16,000. Based on my math, and this is all calculations that came from Amy from the assessor's office. Now, all of that again is fluid because things change. Her approximate taxable valuation was $3.6 million for this expansion. That's the only portion that we can tax. So then based off that, what the county collects, so on and so forth, is roughly $81,000. Because all we're looking at here today is the expansion. The plant itself is totally a separate entity when it comes to these two taxes.
And how much does the regular plant pay now? Currently?
I know that they pay over $200,000 in property taxes currently. I believe one of their last statements that go directly to the county is $116,000.
And how many years would this be?
They're asking for an 80% rebate for 10 years. And again, this ask is so that they can receive over $1 million in state grants. And the state has agreed to award them these grants as long as there is county contribution. And we know this because they are working with Planscape Partners and Kathy Showalter, who has done all of the research, all of the work for this. So she is already in contact with the state. They already have agreed to all of this. They just need to see a signed resolution from the county. This would qualify them for that. And then she has a resolution already prepared and ready to go that could go back on the agenda next week for the urban renewal. Since it is dealing with TIF, it would have to be urban renewal. This is not taking any additional bonds out. This is just rebating the TIF property taxes.
Yeah, 80%, if we lower that, does the state still contribute percentage-wise, or do they get the whole amount?
That's a great question. We've been advised by the state to go for 80% because that's what they like to see at the state level, given that they're willing to contribute over $100 million. And 80% is going to make them more enticing, helps them to score better on the grant application. All of those things are what the state really looks at. So I guess I can't answer for this state, but 80% is a very fair, safe number in order to get the state to contribute.
Just something I want to also contribute is that it's difficult to get a quality industry to come to a small county. And if we have a number of good industries that are in our county, if we show that we are willing to support our existing industries with expansions, other industries that are looking at Mitchell County see that, and we're more favorable for them to want to come here. If we turn down something like this, that goes on the history that we're not willing to support our existing industries, and we're not looked as favorable for attracting somebody else. So that's something that wasn't really addressed here, but it's also a very big deal.
Absolutely. There are a lot of eyes right now. As you can see, people in the room are very much in support of helping our local industry and keeping them here. And I know we want to continue to think long term. So Jim mentioned attracting other industry. That's key. The other thing is that you have to think about the industry that we currently have here and showing that support, because when you look at the bottom dollar of the tax base, a lot of those big property taxes come from our industry. So yeah, I really encourage you to consider this.
Representatives from Valent here, would they be able to maybe say something?
Is there a representative from Valent here?
Brian's here.
Yes, thank you. On behalf of Cindy, Erjan, and myself, Biosciences and Sumitomo Chemical, we just want to say thanks for you guys considering this proposal. We've always worked well with the city and county, and we'd like to continue that. If you have any specific questions on our expansion, we can answer that at this time.
But like when I took the tour, you're just gonna add some more of them mixers or whatever you want to call them?
Yeah, we're going to put an expansion on the east side of our building that will allow up to 4 more fermenters per tent. 4 more. We won't be putting those all in immediately at this time, but they will be put in probably in sometime in the next 4 years. We're going to be going south of the facility with some office area, a research laboratory, and a pilot scale fermentation area, where we do tests on our products, try to improve it, our new products, which is at a smaller scale, like 750 liters or 1,000 liters. And then we don't really have a good maintenance area and contractor area. So that'll be the rest of the addition. Just real quick, kind of our schedule is we're waiting for all the approvals, because if we start the project before all the approvals are in, then we could lose some of the funding. And the state grant basically is when we do our taxes, we'll get a little bit of incentives on our income tax, and then also a sales tax from the state. We want to pay sales tax on the $34 million, which some of it is exempt because it's manufacturing equipment, but then a lot of the construction stuff would be taxable. That's how we get that grant from the state. So we're looking to start sometime in June, doing a little excavation work, looking for the underground utilities, have that finished in August. Everybody knows supply chain challenges. We got to get our steel on order. It's like 4 months delivery. And our goal is to have that south building and the east building erected and enclosed before Thanksgiving time, say. Then we will put all the equipment in say from January 23 until about early spring 24. Start testing the equipment, make our first batch of our new product in early 2024. And as Sherry said, we think that this will, well, not think, we know we'll hire at least 10 more employees. And over the next, say, 4 or 5 years, there will be several more.
This also helps Z too in regard
Right,
to
exactly.
stuff that they've got
We
going
got
on.
Jason here. We're partners. It's a good working relationship. They're right across the street. It used to be made in Chicago. So this has been an excellent area for the plant to be relocated to.
Said you're gonna start in June,
Yes,
so the state would allow or reward the grant that quick.
yes. We've hired Kathy Showalter from Landscape. I think she's done some stuff from the city for sure. And we have to have our application in by Friday. And then it'll get on the June board meeting. And the state has a lot of money for economic development. And so we are able to get on that agenda. If we get our application in, I don't think it's rubber stamp, but Kathy does this for a living. She thought for sure we'd get it. You can actually do a little excavating, like we need to locate our underground utilities to make sure we know exactly where everything is. Basically, you can't go vertical. If you put any structure going up, then any of that expenditure would not qualify for the grant. So by the end of June, we probably would just be doing a little scratching of the surface. It'll work out well. We have to get going though, because winter, unfortunately, will be here. Not 2 weeks ago, but we got our 2 weeks ago.
Will A to Z have to do an expansion too?
We gotta stop for just a minute to do
Sorry.
the public
We gotta
hearing.
stop.
We have a public hearing and then we'll go back to it.
Then we'll come back to this. Okay. Okay. 9:00 a.m. We need to open our public hearing for fiscal year of 21-22 county budget. Do we have anybody had any oral or written comments received?
I have some discussion.
Yep.
So I have copies here if anyone needs to see it. Did update the amendment. It had said a negative 1.228 as the ending fund balance. It now is 258,160. That is, the big difference is we are expensing money that was not in the budget. That's not saying we don't have the money there. We have the money there, but if you don't put it in your budget and you do that, then it really cuts back at that amount. So I took some expenses that weren't gonna get finished this year due to construction wise. So took some of those, back those off, and then added in some revenues that we had and was able to get that to the positive number. But for the future, that's kind of, you need to really watch what's not in the budget, and not spending that money. Yep. Ready?
Does anybody have any
Betty has
questions?
some
Well, I have public comments when you get to the public.
Oh, well, this is the budget hearing. Public comments are.
This is a
No,
public
she-
hearing, so she
Yeah,
can.
she can
Oh,
talk.
okay, you can talk. Okay, go ahead.
Right, it is a public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, and when I saw the amendment in the paper, I became very concerned because the amendment in the paper showed an ending fund balance for June 30th, 2022 of minus $1,228,253. And the unassigned was 524,000. I spoke with Rachel and, we went over some numbers and I asked her about a lot of things. And I asked her specifically about debt service. If any of you looked at your tax statements in the last, if you keep them, and I keep mine, there has been no county debt service on your tax statement since 2013, none. The debt service here is TIF debt service. That is being paid by the tax increment. So it's something that is added value, and the county is still getting paid for all the property that was there before. And this TIF has been a gift to the county. But anyway, I look at the budget as being a county supervisor's budget, because the county supervisors, I was on for 24 years. The county supervisors meet with every department ahead of putting the budget together and more or less decide what they can have for funding. True? And then the auditor, it becomes her task to put everything together. Anyway, you have you have some limits on levies. So you have a $3.95 levy for rural basic, and you have a $3.50 levy for general basic. Then you have your supplemental levies. There are certain things that have, for instance, the roads, out of that $3.95, they can get the maximum of $3.38, I believe. I just asked Rich, and he said, I don't remember that. And then they get 16 5/8 from all property in the county. But anyway, you need to look at these things. And when you're putting the budget together, you really only have 5 to 6 months experience of that year that you're in right now to decide what the ending fund balance is going to be. So you have to look at past history. So at any rate, the urban renewal plan, I mean, that came into being, the urban renewal law in the 1950s. And in the 1990s, the county got to do everything that the city's been doing for a long time. And we didn't have things that we could do tax increment financing with and so on. So it has been a huge gift. I know Steve likes to see 3 minutes, but I don't know that that is the case when it comes to a public hearing. I think the public needs to hear some of these things, because I'm not bad mouthing anybody, but I did call Rachel and went over all of these things and went over the middle column because it said current amendment. And under the current amendment, it had debt service. So I asked her what that debt service was, and it's all TIF, correct, Rachel? So
That's
that's
showing the rebates for absolute.
Right, right. Sure. And looking at what was just said this morning, I mean, we have a wonderful opportunity, to support these industries. We have more industry. Honestly, we're the envy of other counties around us. So when I looked at this, my question is, what was published in the paper is totally wrong now. I mean, absolutely. And the general public has not seen, Rachel provided me with this, but I just saw it this morning. And now your ending fund balance on this is
258,
160.
yeah, total ending fund balance, right, is $258,160. That isn't very much money. Then you look at the ending fund balance becomes the beginning fund balance of the new budget year. But when you do your budget, you have no idea, because it has to be certified the 15th of March. So I did talk to the Department of Management after I visited with Rachel. And, with 4 new supervisors, and it is hard to get, to know everything there is to know about it. I did call my supervisor, Jim, and I asked him if he had seen, if he looked at it. And he admitted that, he hadn't noticed and he was on a mini vacation, but he said he was going to look into it as soon as he got back. So I wondered how many of the rest of you had ever looked at that budget amendment and even questioned. So I did call the Department of Management, and I talked to Carrie Johnson, who certifies all the county budgets. And I went through it with her, and she said, well, no, that can't be at all. That's not correct. And she worked with Rachel, I know. And so anyway, what you've come up with, the public has not seen this at all. And I have a question I'd ask the county attorney, hi Aaron. I would ask him, absent the county having even been part of seeing what you're amending, can you really approve that today?
You can approve it if the expenditures are not above what you published.
Okay. But then the other thing I wanted to ask was what it said on the published budget. It said the explanation of changes were for the Huffman purchase, HSA funding, which is the health savings account, wetland, and Otranto Dam. When I asked Rachel what that middle column was under debt service, she gave me different answers. So I don't know exactly where this, where all of this other comes up, because she mentioned rebates, and she mentioned also that it was decided to do half of the payment of the bond, I guess, about the courthouse bond, instead of all being under TIF, half would be under local option sales tax. So I just feel that the public, the public does not come, they don't pay any attention to what government does. They really don't, except if there's some terrible thing that comes up. But I think in general, the public, a lot of them don't even get newspapers anymore. The best government is at the local level. And I think that the public, when I've looked at some of the things that have happened lately, and I wonder if really and truly when the board did away with Northland Securities, if you visited with Rachel about it ahead of time, because I would imagine that had quite an effect on her work. I don't know. But, when you get a new firm in that has not done the county at all, and Northland Securities and Jeff Pyle have been doing all that for years, and they know when to tell you the best time is to refund, refinance, so on. But anyway, there's a number of things that have happened. And I think, Rachel came on, she'd been in the office, a year and a half or two before. So she had a high learning curve too, and she'd done a remarkable job, I think. And I think that you really need to work, and you need to understand her job when you're making decisions like that. I just want to express these things because honestly, do you still say then that these changes are really under debt service? Are those all the changes, Rachel, that?
Yep, so that's the two rebates, and then there is a chunk of money for half the courthouse payment. I spoke with Heidi with Northland Securities, and she has this sheet where she expects how much leftover revenue we'd have every year. And she said to take it out of the local option and leave that money in the TIF fund.
Then I want to ask, this is rather deceiving that the explanation of changes and the amendment is for the Huffman purchase, the HSA funding, wetlands, and Otranto Dam. You just told me it was under debt service.
Yep, so that's for debt service, but explanation of changes can be any of the changes throughout the whole budget. And those were just some of the larger items.
Okay. Well, those things I wanted to bring to your attention because honestly, I am a concerned citizen and I have really watched budgets over the years. And if you look at your tax receipts, honest to God, if you keep them, there has been no debt service listed on that since 2013. So this debt service is being paid for by tax increment, and that comes about through the urban renewal plan. So honestly, you're passing up a big opportunity if you don't support these things. And I know that you can have an excess of TIF funds as long as you have debt, because you can, and in the future, as the windmills, each year, the first year they come on, Steve, I hope you're enjoying this. The first year they come on, they pay no taxes. No, but then they get on 5% up to 30%.
Correct, yeah.
So you're going to have an enormous amount of taxes from the windmills.
Correct.
Income in the future years.
Yeah.
And, when I read statements like, for instance, when you look at tax abatements, Jim did a wonderful article in the paper. When you look at these opportunities to do things, then I think they should be done. And I just was really responding to this very first thing in the paper, and it was not accurate, and I was very concerned about that. And
So if we print a corrected one in the paper, or how does that work?
You can if you would like to, or you can publish it on our website. But it is not necessary to post in the paper if you approve less than what was published.
I would just ask, how many of you even looked and were concerned?
Yes, I was. I did look and I was concerned. I
You
had
were.
Many conversations with Rachel, yes. I have.
We will do
I
it.
was totally aware of it.
We will do what's legal.
Thank you, Jim. And I really, yeah. Never
Do
mind.
what's transparent. Not say, well, we don't have to. We should be saying, yes, everyone should be informed on these changes.
Yeah.
It's easy to pass off, well, we didn't have to do that by law. But it's mighty shady if you don't.
Yeah, so it can be republished. I wouldn't have a problem. Anybody else?
Well, the only thing is that it will have to be after the beginning of the new year then, the publishment, because it has to be not less than 10 or no more than 20 to be published for this kind of thing, right, Rachel?
If you're having a public hearing.
That's what
correct.
I mean, yeah.
But if you're not having a public hearing, or if you approve this and you were just publishing to show on the changes that was actually made, then you.
So, county attorney, there's no need for another public hearing as long as it was just published, right?
That came directly from Carrie Johnson.
Okay.
I'm listening pretty intently and what I've heard Rachel say, I believe is correct. I mean, no, we're not.
Well, I think publishing it, certainly the public is entitled to seeing what the actual thing is. And it's a very small ending fund balance, I think, isn't it, Rachel? Compared to, if you look at what the taxes levied on property and so on, if you look at, well, I didn't see the beginning fund balance. If you look at the beginning fund balance, I mean, it's far more. Beginning fund balance, July 1st, 2021 was $4,262,271. And now you're looking at the beginning fund balance as much less, $1,221,000.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Can I make a comment on that, while we're talking about all this debt and stuff? If the county did have no TIF debt, every budget would have 25% more money in it. So I'm just telling you that.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that? That's the county assessor. That's correct.
And I think she may be a little bit off on that 25%.
Okay, well, that's the numbers I got, so.
Yeah.
Just, that's quite a bit. That's like over $2 million just in the general alone, so.
I will make one other remark then, because I did talk to Rich Brown and I asked him a long time ago if, what do the property taxes, what do you get from the county? What does that pay for? And he said, just the salaries. I assume that means salaries, the employer's share of FICA, the employer's share of IPERS, and the insurance. But I'll tell you, that doesn't leave anything for anything else.
Well, I think we need to move on. Anybody else have any public comments? Is it open for the public hearing? Hearing none, I guess. We need to close the public hearing then at 9:15. And we need to approve appropriations resolutions for this resolution number 1129-22.
To approve resolution 1129-22.
Steve has made a motion to approve resolution 1129-22. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jim has seconded.
Second.
Any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Todd.
Taken care of. I guess we'll go back to
Kevin wanted to have a comment.
Kevin, have a comment. We're going back to ballot.
Thank you, yes. On behalf of the volunteers before me that were dedicated to economic development in Osage, in Mitchell County, and in our region, the Osage Development Corporation, Osage Economic Betterment Company, private industry, private businesses, our business, and as local producers and taxpayers, we support Valent's expansion and application for assistance from you and from the state of Iowa. My predecessors in economic development realized that despite our proud agricultural heritage and nurturing of the best soils in the world, we needed to diversify our employment base to allow our young people to have options of staying here for a career while also attracting and retaining skilled professionals that were not native here. Valent and many of our other industries are doing just that. Landing Valent here was no small feat, and it was a result of an unprecedented level of cooperation between the state of Iowa, Mitchell County, the city of Osage, our economic development director at the time, local property owners, other local industry, and a level of confidentiality unmatched by competing cities, counties, states, and nations. I would encourage you to view the world map of where Valent's products are disseminated from here. They end up worldwide, and the economic impact that they have in sustaining public health and sustainable crop production. They have been tremendous community partners and have shown adaptability and significant investment as they have grown a one-of-a-kind biorational production facility right here from ground zero. They had challenges at the beginning, and they were up to making those all right and thriving, and now growing and prospering, and we can all benefit from those initiatives. There is so much good and positive going on around us right here. Keep up this momentum. A few indecisions or wrong decisions can send signals, as Supervisor Weary mentioned, that we are not open for business. We want to be open for business. Thanks for your continued cooperation and dedicated to a positive future for Mitchell County and for our region. Thank you very much.
I have a comment as well. You talked about what you'd be putting back in the taxpayer's pocket. What would you be putting back if we don't have economic development growth? If you take TIF away, you take away the best tool you have to keep industries in town and entice people to build. So that's kind of taken out of context as to what progress would be for Mitchell County. TIF's a good tool to use. You should be using it.
And we need to clarify that we're not purchasing any bonds to make this happen. This is simply a rebate where what they pay, we split 80-20, give 80% back to them. So we're not purchasing any GO bonds to make this happen.
Correct. And this is Sherry again. And exactly, we are not purchasing any bonds. You're not taking any bonds out. And this is only on the addition. So this doesn't even impact the plant itself. This is only the addition that we're even discussing today. And it would be a real shame to lose those 30 kids that we have in our school district right now, plus the potential of those 17 more and 10 more jobs. So it's a huge trickle down effect that this industry does have on our county.
So on behalf of the Osage Community Schools, nice segue, Sherry, we would definitely support this proposal as well and plan, because again, economic development is critical to us maintaining student enrollment, which is how we drive our funding stream, which keeps your taxes down from that perspective. And again, we have a great partnership that we're working on every day with Valent as far as working with our kids, being able to work with their scientists at the highest level. You don't have to go to Iowa State. I can go in my backyard and go to Valent, and we've got the best science, hands-on labs right there. And those partnerships are growing every day. So we want to see this continue to grow our community and to stay progressive. That's something that brought us and attracted many of us to Mitchell County. And that's why we want to stay, is if we can continue to be progressive. So anything you can do to help, I think is great.
Eddie?
Just one statement, you still would be growing in taxes, even at the, given the rebate, you're going to be adding the 16,000 or whatever in taxes. So it's still a plus.
I think I asked the question before, we got cut off, but is A to Z gonna have to add on, or what's how's it gonna?
Yeah, we're 100% dependent on Balin. We are our total 140 employees, including 15 engineers, biology. I mean, they're actually creating it, so we have STEM-based jobs today. So what part we're going to completely get to this, I don't know. But they're growing, we're growing,
right?
Warehousing, processing.
I mean,
and not specifically maybe this specific project, but in total, I mean, they need to, the more they put investment here in Mitchell County is, I mean, obviously beneficial to that entire A to Z team. That's why I kind of request all our local contractors too. We have 4 on site all week this week. And all that, so it's a trickle down effect. That's why I want to bring local contractors in to really see how it trickles down, how important it is. And the A to Z team, I mean, we get to stay here and have jobs through the family.
Right.
That's why my family gets to grow here. If I didn't have the families out here, I don't have a job. So I mean, it's that simple. It's critical.
Yeah, if they increase production, that's why I wondered if you were gonna have to add whatever too, or you can absorb the extra product.
I'd like to stay proactive too. We've got our subdivisions going in. We've got our derelict housing program going. We got, if we would approve this, we got more jobs coming to the town. That means more people, and we just need to stay proactive. I know money's a lot of times the big issue, but the big picture is stay proactive and want people to come to Mitchell County and raise their families and work and put their kids through our schools. Steve?
Cities used TIF. Our history with TIF goes all the way back to 1985. And almost every TIF project that we've entered into, we not only tie an increase in taxation, property taxes to it, but we also tie a number of jobs, how many jobs are going to be created. I was interested this morning to hear that they are planning on 10 new jobs being created by this project. Our history has shown us that even though we enter into an agreement and the industry will say, well, we're going to have 8 new jobs or 10 new jobs, they almost always overperform. If they say 10 jobs, I would venture to say it will be 15 different jobs. And every job brings somebody to town, somebody to Mitchell County. These people, these families have their children in our schools. It is a trickle down effect. And I would urge you to support this project 100%.
The thing that concerns me about the statement that you just made, it's always revolving around money, but that but scares the heck out of me. That's just a way to make us be quiet about spending money. Tired of hearing buts. I want to see some actions. This is serious to us. It's not a but.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Lindsay Faulkner, Falk Construction. Just a couple things, as a taxpayer and a business owner, I strongly encourage all of you, each and every one, to vote yes in this project. And I think even more so, it scares me is hearing things when these things come up, and they're different than this one, but conversations like, well, we don't want to give we can't afford handouts. They're going to do this anyway. Why give something up? This is a perfect chance right now where neither one of those things exist. This is a total win for everybody. You go around all the counties in Iowa, Midwest, I travel around for a lot of reasons, right now chasing kids around. A lot of times in towns and counties just like ours. They may not be going down in population, they don't have industry. There's towns that have cheap housing. They're crap. We have industry, houses, we have everything that everybody wants. 98 other counties would be dying for this opportunity. And I hope we're not the one exception. And I really hope unanimous to show these guys what they've done. And respect all the businesses and people that want to be here. Because a lot of people do. There are many places that people want to come and grow. Please do this unanimous for all of us.
Any other discussion on this? From anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the tip rebate.
Marcus made a motion to approve the.
And I want to second it, but I also want to say, you don't have to get too excited during the meeting to prove your point. But thank you, Lindsay.
I want to say I can't help it.
Any further discussion on this?
Further discussion, the resolution needs to be signed on or before next Tuesday. Okay, that has to happen. So I'm just stating that in order for this timeline to happen,
For them.
it has to be signed on or before next Tuesday, the resolution to make this.
And I do have that resolution prepared by Kathy Showalter, so I do have that resolution that I can electronically send at any time.
Okay,
Does it have to be a separate approval from this approval?
it does.
I'm asking.
Does it have to be a separate approval
Or can
from
you
this
guys
approval?
sign it because you're approving it now?
Can we sign, Aaron, is that a,
I say you sign it.
Yeah.
like, can we just sign it today? Would be fine?
You approve it.
We need a resolution number.
1130 -22.
1130-22.
Yep.
Just a minute. Oh, ink.
Well, we can just take care of it today, right?
Yep, sounds good.
It's just hard for me to believe the state can act that quick when it took how many months to do the Maple Inn?
That's the reason why it has to be signed on or before this coming Tuesday, because of the timeline. That's part of it. So,
Part of the Maple Inn was that there were so many good Main Street projects that people had sent in to the office. Sherry could help me out on this, is they prolonged the date because the gal wanted to try and get the governor to approve them all. Is that correct, Sherry?
Correct. That took a while because they were inundated with the amount of applications, and Director Durham from the IEDA actually was trying to go back to the governor and get more money because there was such a need in rural Iowa to fund all of these. So that's why it took a little bit longer. They went back to the governor and said, we need more money.
Yes, didn't you complete your vote before?
Yeah, we
you
have
did
to
anything?
complete this one. I put the date in.
Thank you.
All right, roll call. Todd?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Mark?
All right.
Then I'll sign it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get it after.
You'll get it afterwards? Okay. Yep. Okay. Moving on. Item 10, discussion and possible action on health insurance.
Okay, so we just had open enrollment and a few questions came up, so rather than giving my opinion or my answer, I want you guys to decide. So I did put the questions on here. So if an employee chooses not to have either of the health options, will they still receive the $125 benefit? And then along with that, would they receive the dental and the vision if they don't take the health insurance? And then lastly, if they don't use, we're saying they basically get that $1,000 to use like 875 plus the 125 equals 1,000. So do they get that additional money to spend on flexible spending accounts. I'll just give you my initial thought, just from dealing with the insurance. You want to still give them that option of 125 or the health and dental. Let's say they have a family plan with their spouse somewhere else. You're still, as a county, you're still saving like $12,600 to $14,500 by them not being on our health insurance, but then they still get those benefits that were originally told they would get, I guess, at the beginning. I don't know. But I don't think that they should get to spend the additional $875 on HVAC or whatever they want.
If they don't take it, we don't give them the money for the health insurance plan to use somewhere else.
Right.
I don't really think I don't know anybody that does that.
So I think I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. I just want to say it differently. Why, if they choose not to be on our health insurance policies, why would we financially support them with the same benefits the other employees that are on the health insurance policies get? I don't quite understand that. And just to follow up on that a little bit, I know there are some organizations that will, if you choose not to be on the health insurance plan, they will pay that employee a small amount simply because, like what you said, it saves thousands of dollars for Mitchell County for them not to be on the policy. Now, I'm not advocating that happening, but I don't know if that's part of what you meant also, or.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to still take vision, dental, and then we still gave the 125 per month, that's only like $200 a month. That's a very low cost for them to still be able to have something they thought they were gonna get and then decide not to take the health insurance.
They can take the health and dental if they're not on the main policies?
We
Well,
think they
that's
should,
what-
because you might get those employees that just take that additional insurance just because they want the vision and the dental.
Oh, I
So-
missed that, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's your guys' decision, but we were just thinking that you could.
Rich?
In work county, I don't think we're allowed not to sign up for them, and we've had that conversation before, as to you guys could save a lot of money if we're double covered. But I also think too, if I remember properly, that there's a higher premium for the dental and vision if you're not on it's good.
I don't think it is for us.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
With the ISAC group, yeah.
Right.
You know, what's reasonable as the county insurance is. I don't know why people wouldn't want to just have it as a second to nothing else. Generally, people that are on two plans and they don't, what one plan don't cover, the other one does. I don't know.
I'm only asking because we had an individual that had turned in their paperwork that spent $875 on flexible spending, and I need to know if I can accept that or not.
Versus taking the health plan?
Correct, they do not want to be on the health plan, but they want to spend the money on the other items.
I don't know if he wants to, I don't think you want to go there.
No.
I mean, that doesn't, you feel like you didn't want the health insurance, we're just gonna give you $875 a month, you can spend it how you want.
No.
No, they're not part of the plan.
Right, correct, yeah, I think we better stick to the plan, this is my opinion, let's stick to the plan.
What's everybody else
I
think?
don't know.
No. They do not get that $825.
Isn't that how you get lower premiums? You get more people in your group?
That's the idea, but
So if everybody starts dropping out, and there's only one person left in the group.
There's only a couple right now that don't have health insurance because they're on a spouse.
I think that's the reason why Worth County is that they want as many people in the pool, and if it doesn't cost you anything to be in the pool. For instance, I take the individual plan, it's covered, and I get to take the leftover balance because I take the high premium stuff, and I get to put the leftover into an annuity. That's how they have it set up. But the more people you have in your pool, the cheaper it is for everybody else that are in it.
Correct. Yeah.
Or potentially cheaper, yes.
so would that answer your question, Rachel?
No. Tell me what to do.
Well,
That's why they gotta be in the plan to get together.
yeah, I don't think you can just say, I don't want the insurance and take the money. No, I don't think that's, at least that hasn't been in the past. And I don't think we want to start that. I don't know, my opinion. is-
Note all three of your questions.
Okay.
When to be? You guys think, or what?
So either you're in or you're out, right?
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
This is for, I'm not bringing this up, it's kind of turning, bringing it up more. So I'm an example of a person, I don't have county health insurance. The reason I don't, and I don't think this conversation you're having is, I don't know, but I mean, just from, I can explain, just from a citizen perspective, a county employee, somebody might say, Murphy, why aren't you on the county's health? And I would say, I would really kind of love to be on the county's health plan because it would save me a ton of money. My family, we buy a private policy. The reason we do is, before January, Mark Walk was county attorney. I think he was on the county insurance. I think the county only offered it to one of us. So now Walk and I, we had our internal compensation plan where we compensate each other and all that. But so my family, we had to go out on the private market and get our own plan, and we did. I hope my wife doesn't get upset because she handles the money. I don't think she'd object. I think we pay like $2,100 a month for health insurance.
He's probably doing it. Yeah.
I know if I were on the county plan, I would save a ton of it, and I would love to be on the county. The reason I'm not is I also don't want to get too personal. A lot of people know this, but some people might not. Our youngest child, Jack, at age 14, developed a form of ulcerative colitis that was came on like just a vicious cancer. I mean, he didn't have cancer, but I mean, it was just, I don't know how much money our insurance company paid from probably 2014 through 2020 with surgeries, various things he had. And of course, my wife, she's also had some heart issues and stuff. But anyway, the long and short of it, the reason I've not made that switch to that county plan, for example, is because I'm afraid. I don't know exactly, because, Jack, he's 21. He can be on our health insurance until he's 26, right? And so I know what we got with our, it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's neither here nor there, not an advertisement for Blue Cross Blue Shield. I know what we got. I know what they pay. And I'm afraid if I made a transition that I might not have the same coverage. And there might be something unanticipated where all of a sudden what's been covered is not covered. And plus, if somebody has to run for election, you don't know necessarily whether, come January of next year or 4 years, whether you would be able, if you're not elected, then you don't have the insurance. And then I worry about, well, if that happens, then I have to try and go back to my private plan, and can I? Health insurance is so damn complicated, I don't claim to understand it. Some people say, Murphy, you don't have anything to worry about. I'm like, that's easy for you to say. But I'm the guy that's got to think about, well, what if I don't have health insurance? Then I got to try and go back to Blue Cross or whoever, and maybe I can't get it, and then I'm really hosed. So I say that just because I wonder, and I've never asked for this, thought of it. Whether it doesn't be saved, because I think, and I don't know the specifics about, Rachel would know more about, but since I don't take county health insurance, doesn't that save the county quite a bit of money?
And
Right.
depending on which plan you're on, it can be anywhere from 12,600 up to
Right.
14,500.
Now, I could, and if I wanted to be on the plan, I could double up, right?
Yeah.
And that would cost the county money, right? I haven't done that, in all honesty, because I thought, well, hell, I don't know that I want to stick to taxpayers with paying health insurance. You know what I mean? So I don't know, maybe I ought to just double it, but I haven't, because I think, well, then I don't want to just pass that off. I mean, I don't know that somebody ought to be, if I'm paying health insurance, I don't necessarily want to just make the taxpayers pay more. But I sometimes do wonder if maybe, would it be unfair for the county to pay a little bit towards what I pay for insurance? So that's, like I said, the conversation you're having is not about me. I don't think it is, right? I mean,
Not yet.
but yeah, that's just kind of a perspective of what I would say, you know, there might be, and this, I'm not talking from a county attorney perspective. I want to make that clear because I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not making legal representations. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just from a purely county employee, citizen perspective. Say, you know, so I could see where a person might say, you know what? I'm not on county insurance, but it's not because I don't want to be a part of the plan and the group. It's because I have all these other concerns. And, you know, maybe it sometimes would be a little help if an employee could maybe get, maybe not the full amount, but some. That's like I said, that's just my 2 cents. But anyway.
So you're just worried about pre-existing conditions if you go back to a plan.
What's that?
You're worried about pre-existing conditions if you go back to.
Well, yeah, and it's just so complicated that I don't know how it works, or I don't even know how to claim. I don't even claim to know.
I don't probably have a rider on you, if you went back.
I know group plans that can't hold any pre-existing conditions against you,
think
but I don't know about individual plans. Not sure about that, but groups, I know they can't, it's a law. So,
Well, getting back to what we were discussing here, does an employee receive $125 if they do not take insurance? I say no. Does an employee receive vision and dental insurance if they do not take health insurance? There's a possibility where they could be able to do that. Now, does our dental insurance, that's the Delta plan, that's through ISAC? Are we able to give that plan, it's dental insurance without the health?
We think so.
Am I Rachel?
I think so. Like, there's employees. that are
There's the one where I would question, I think, you know, dental insurance and eyeglasses is part of our,
If they're not tied, I don't see a problem, but if they're tied in some way, then I don't think it's
I
right.
think they're individual plans from what I know. Ain't they?
so, you know,
So they could,
that's part of our package. We can't really say, no, they can't have that. Does the employee receive $1,000 towards flexible spending if they don't take? No. But I would say no to 2 of them and say yes to 1.
so what do you do about the premium reimbursement then if they take part, not all?
What do you mean?
Well, what is it, $5, maybe $5 a pay period or month or? So if somebody takes partial but don't take the health, then how do you?
Well, if they do vision and dental, I mean, the $5 and $7 goes to pay for health insurance.
Okay,
That
so
does
that's
not
just for the health, and
Yeah.
that's not for this part. Okay. I didn't know if it was all, tied together too.
Those are for the 11E and the 12C plan.
Yes.
Okay, so that's just for health only. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That's my take.
I'll agree with Steve as long as those 2 aren't tied.
I'll agree too. But, yeah, I don't agree with the bottom line there, the 1,000 going towards $1,000 a month if they don't take the health. Okay, my 2 cents.
Otherwise, we'll have 100 people coming in and negotiating 100 different ways. Be like a baseball team.
So Steve, is that a motion?
Okay, Steve has made a motion to allow the vision and dental without taking the health insurance.
As long as they're not tied.
As long as
As long as they're not tied, again, that's part of it.
Second.
Jim has seconded. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, we have item 11, approved pay application 1 for Mitchell County HVAC.
So it's first pay request from the HVAC project. And I'll briefly explain it and then you guys can ask questions. So what it is those change orders that we approved that amounted to like $42,000. In order to make that happen, if you have the app in front of you? Yes. Yeah, so look at line items number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you see those numbers there?
Yeah.
That is pretty much the amount of dollars it would have taken to do the work that we decided we could save with the change order. So what they did, and they can't change the scheduled value. So what they did was they put it in there that, yep, that work is done, but then you look down at 14, 15, and 16, that's the change orders. That subtracts it out. So that's how we saved that $42,000 is by, that's what this pretty much is.
Okay.
Then under column F, you see we have roughly $70,000 of items that they've purchased. That's part of this pay request. And so it amounts to, after the retainage is taken out, $100,308.25 for this pay request.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, seems
Okay.
straightforward.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll make a motion to approve this pay request for the Mitchell County HVAC.
I'll second.
Todd has seconded. Any further discussion on this?
Just one thing on the materials ordered, is that some of the stuff that will be stored around here?
No, the agreement was, I offered that we could store it here. If so, they said that they had no problem storing it at the facility in the Decorah. I told them that would be fine as long as there's no expense to us for storing it there. There is none. And I received a picture of a lot of stuff on a trailer.
Okay.
So that's what they have so far.
Okay. Any more discussion on this?
Roll call, Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark.
Okay. Moving on, item 12, items of note, meetings attended.
I had nothing.
Really? I had a Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw landfill meeting for the agenda. Minutes, summary list of bills. Went to the financial report, everything is okay. Money in CDs not getting as much interest, we all know that. Hopefully better in the future. May not be a good thing if that does happen though. Financial report was approved. We discussed insurance. We discussed the projected renewal comparisons and the estimated premiums, and we approved that. We have the director's report. Landfill opened at 5:30 on cleanup day for Osage. The pit boss is up and running, for everyone that knows what that is. The haul truck is broke down, behind on hauling. And Lori and Christian, they had an updated education. And we're talking about a tipping fee increase in July. So we're at the stage of thinking about that. The mayor of Osage would like to know that.
How much of an increase?
Well, we don't know. We're working on that. Anyways, last month we had 2,780 tons of material that came into the land. So there's my land. Oh, I had a watershed meeting. They're talking about implementing that watershed coordinator for Mitchell County sometime after July 1st. Using state funds to start with, they're gonna apply it for the grant, which is 780 hours a year, $25 an hour or something, so they'll be out at the ASCS office is where they're gonna be located at.
I have a question whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Now,
How about that?
yes, so you said it's gonna be not funded by Mitchell County?
No,
Okay,
I told them our budget's done and, you know, at this time. You know,
okay,
my thinking is too, okay, I know how this, you know, the state might fund it this year, but next year it could dry up. Then, you know, I don't know, but, you know, it's,
okay, that's what I want to be clear, as long as we're not funding it.
no, we would have to, perfect, I kind of said that we're done with our budget for this year, so it'd be hard to get it in this year. You know?
It's not that I'm against it, it's just I see too many problems with it.
A lot of our watersheds do this testing, you know.
But DNR's doing it too, you know, so it's, you know, it's something Mel's been doing for years and he has a lot of data and he would like to get to continue to show. But one thing I thought was interesting is, I said, what's the water coming into Mitchell County from the Cedar River at the state line? It's high in a lot of stuff, but by the time it goes out the other end of Mitchell County, it's a lot better. So Mitchell County is actually removing a lot of that pollution coming in just from algae and whatever, plant growth, whatever in the river that must absorb it. So Mitchell County is actually cleaning up the Cedar River on the way through, which, you know, I think a lot of that comes from Austin, Minnesota, you know, whatever, you know, I mean, there's probably, but
Maybe it settles behind the dam.
I don't know, maybe, you know, the water's cleaner going out than coming in, so I mean, that's a good thing. But I thought that was interesting, I asked about that, because I knew, well,
We do
Thank
so
you.
many,
Yes.
we do so many double testings. I know, like, I'm with Wapsie Watershed, they test the Wapsie water.
yeah.
You're with the Big Cedar,
Upper Cedar, yeah.
and I know they do testing
The DNR.
as the watershed. The watershed probably tests too, don't they? And along with the DNR, so there's a lot of double and triple stacking here.
There is, yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah, he had a good project going, you know. He wants to continue. And anyway, then I had the Stop the Bleed meeting, which we all did, I guess, but,
I was not available for that, so I did not.
okay. Then I had a conservation board meeting last Tuesday night, and we're gonna enter in a contract with the DNR for designing water trails. And like where Two Bowls is, they want to develop a parking lot and a shelter and a lot of stuff. And then at Spring Park too, which I told them, it's owned by the city of Osage. You know, they gotta be on board with it, that's their property. And then they want to do one south of Osage on for the bridges. They want to have another parking lot, boat ramp, bathrooms, shelter. So I think that was 40,000 to get into this contract to have a design made up. And there's DNR money that could help with the project. The three of them is what they're planning. So anyway, that was my meetings.
Better than nothing.
Okay, moving on. We have got newer management plan updates.
There is one for Jenkins North Finisher Farm, 4475 Shadow Avenue, Bristol.
Item C, we have transfer of funds. Looks like we have a couple of them here. Number 199, which is 30,000 from the general basic to the conservation land acquisition fund. And the other one is number 200, which is $638,331 from the rural basic to the secondary roads.
An explanation, Rachel?
Yep, so secondary roads, they kind of talked about, he gets money from the general fund and then from rural basic. General fund, that goes in November, they get that full amount. And then for rural basic, we split it into two payments, just so they're after taxes, so November and then May. And then 30,000 goes to land acquisition every single year. They're both in Iowa covered that we have to transfer.
Okay.
Yep.
Those items are just so noted.
Yep.
So, okay. Going on to item D, public comments. Anybody in the public have anything to say?
I just want to say thanks for your time. I was gonna come up, we were waiting, we were gonna come up and thank each one of you. Steve, thank you. He's been a long time supervisor, friend of ours out at the wastewater plant. Wastewater plant's doing good, doing well. You guys, ever want a tour there? I told you guys all that.
I know you about it. I'd like the tour.
Okay, anytime, just contact me. But on behalf of Alan, thank you. We'll continue to be good partners with Mitchell County and Osage. And look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Waiting for warmer weather for that tour.
I mean,
Yes.
It's been nice lately, but
Really, you don't think summer's over when we're headed down.
I hope, well, you know, and I'm kind of like, oh, well, in construction, nothing ever goes right. And with supply chain problems this year, you gotta get that.
I think you're optimistic. You want to order that stuff as soon as you can, and hopefully it'll be here by Thanksgiving. Not up by then. Hopefully it'll be here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're optimistic.
We can do it in the winter, but you know how it's working with
Yeah.
20 below zero, not much.
Yeah, it ain't any good.
It costs a lot of money.
You're very optimistic on getting your materials, I think.
We hope.
This is the, since 2014, this is actually, I would say, the biggest expansion project that we are going to have. But I would say this is just the beginning. I think we're gonna continue with everything that's happening now. It's gonna continue to grow. The plant is gonna continue to grow, and with your continued support, I mean, that's what I see here. I'm still new, you know, so as you know, I've been here only a year. But I see that how the people are supporting each other, the community, the city. And that makes everything happens and help all of us. So, but really, thank you very much for all your support and continued support.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I guess we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Adjourn.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.